It's my turn. I think a lot of the people in this room know that we have characters up here already.
Okay, welcome everybody. We have plenty of seats down here in the front. If you'd like to come forward, Elaine and Dawn. Thank you. Okay, I'm Nancy Puder, founder of Seacoast Seniors and also a real estate broker at Keller Williams, along with my partner, Shannon Bowdy.
Hey everybody. Hello.
So our mission at Seacoast Seniors is to educate and empower older adults and their families so that they make knowledge-driven versus crisis-driven decisions as they age. And we do this through the free seminars and our downsizing process and resource team. Today the topic is downsizing with dementia, timing and transition. And first I want to talk about the bathrooms, etc., the housekeeping issues. The hotel is currently under a renovation, and so if you need to use the restroom, please feel free to get up and down because we won't take a break. But the downstairs restrooms are closed. You have to go upstairs to the lobby again to use them. On your desk or on your table, you have some handouts. The first page is just an overview of what we're hoping to touch on today. It's not an outline to follow along. It's just some key points you might want to take with you to talk about maybe later if we don't get to all of them. And then we have notes for you to take notes. We have a action checklist for you to use. And then underneath there is a flyer about Seacoast Seniors. One more sheet you're going to see is an evaluation form. When you came in, you probably got a learning card or brought one that you had already. In order to get your learning card punched, you must fill out an evaluation sheet and turn it in. And then after you have 10 punches, you get a free Panera Bread card. Okay, we're going to get started. First, I'd like to ask my panelists to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to ask them some questions. Shannon, would you like to start?
I would love to start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Molinar, and I am a geriatric care manager that specializes in dementia. My practice is called GuidedAging, and I serve San Luis Obispo County as well as portions of Santa Barbara. However, I have clientele all over because we often find adult children, etc., live all over the world. I have been working in this area with this amazing population for, almost 20 years, and volunteering with the Alzheimer's Association for 18, and I also serve on the board of directors for the Long-Term Care Ombudsman. So thank you very much for coming today, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Here's Laura.
Good morning, my name is Laura DeLoye. I work with the Alzheimer's Association as a program education and support group coordinator. I don't know what the title is. But I am based in SLO County, cover all of the county as well as down to San Ynez Valley. In support groups, I know many of you go to support groups with the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you. Being able to find others who are going through similar situations, and also our education classes. So we do dementia caregiver education communication, happens to be one this afternoon, and care consultations, a lot of information and referral as well throughout the county. My background is as a music therapist. I've worked with older adults and aging for 25 plus years, and have also had my father passed away 2 years ago with dementia, and as a long distance caregiver with family in Ohio. So great to be here. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Danbom. It's short for Danielle, but you can call me anything but late for dinner. I come from Edward Jones Investments. For 13 years. I was a certified financial planner, but dealing with my grandfather, Bob, who had MCI, minor cognitive impairment, which was progressing to more of the memory care land. I kind of wanted to understand the opportunities and different options that he had. So in my journey of becoming more knowledgeable, that's what set me with the Villages for 5.5 years. Sydney Creek specifically, which specializes in memory care in San Luis Obispo. I currently work for Merrill Gardens, located in Santa Maria, northern Santa Maria. I do their community relations director position, AKA I'm an advocate for those who need help. I am not a high pressure salesperson. It's about here's what the opportunities are in this area, and then based on your best judgment of what's best for your loved one, because ultimately you are their fiduciary, or you are your own fiduciary, making the best judgment based on their behalf.
Thank you, Danny. I'm going to start with Laura. Laura, can you give us some tips about and some statistics about the dementia and how people get confused, and about Alzheimer's versus dementia, etc. And then share anything else that you think that we need to know.
Sure. So dementia, just to kind of get everyone on the same page, I'm going to stand up for a second. So dementia is this umbrella term. I have to use gestures. So dementia is a collection of symptoms. It could be short-term memory loss, which is oftentimes what people see first, but it can also be a change in attention span, which we have a very short attention span in our world typically, but whenever it can be a shortened attention span, it could be also hyper-focused. If a person is like, I've got to do this, and you see nothing else happening. A lot of change in reasoning can happen as well. So a variety of symptoms in that dementia term. Under that umbrella of dementia, there are lots of diseases. The most prevalent is Alzheimer's disease, and hence the Alzheimer's Association. We work with all types of dementia. There's vascular dementia, there's frontotemporal dementia, there's Lewy body dementia. You hear these in the news. They're when people like Bruce Willis or Robin Williams, folks like that, help to kind of shed some light on those disease processes. So about, I think last count, maybe 108, 200 different types of diseases under that dementia umbrella. And as far as statistics, once we hit 65, our risk to have dementia increases as we age. It is a disease of aging, but it's not normal aging. And so when we hit 65, our risks start to increase. By the time we're 85, the statistic is 1 out of 3 people do die with some type of dementia. That also means 2 out of 3 people do not. But that 1 out of 3, because we are an aging society, we're living longer, we have a lot more people with dementia. We start to hear more about this disease process as well. So I have some information on the back there. There's a list of like 10 warning signs, kind of to like, what's the difference between normal aging and dementia, right? And sometimes it's a little iffy, when we're stressed, our attention span often flies away. I can't remember a certain person's name, even though I know maybe we just talked last week. you know, when we have those isolated incidents, it's, you know, I can't diagnose you, but that is something that, when there's the consistent patterns, and when there are changes in activities of daily living, where we are not doing those things in the manner that we've always done them, that can be a sign. We often talk about not where are our keys, because, you know, there's that whole, oh my God, Dad left the keys in the freezer, this is a sign, right? Well, it could have been, because Dad doesn't usually put away the groceries, that he was putting stuff in the freezer and just had too many things in his hand. It could be. We can explain things out so well. We're good at that with humans. But it is also, it's more when you have those keys and you don't know what to do with them. And you're like, I've got these. Oh, maybe if I spread them out, they become a comb or a brush, right? Like that's not usual, right? So different reasoning types of things like that.
Great, thank you, Laura. Jenny, would you share with us some things you think we need to know about dementia, and maybe give us some tips on what we can do to prepare a loved one for an upcoming move?
Sure, that's, I'm gonna stand up too.
Sure.
We don't do, Laura spoke about attention span and focus and whatnot. All of us in this field as well kind of have challenges with that. This is a really good question and topic about when we have someone who may be residing at home and we are seeing their needs increase, where home care is no longer realistic for multiple reasons, or a spouse has a condition that they may need to have certain medical care. We often have to have the conversation of what will a transition look like to either a community setting, whether it be assisted living or memory care, or even if we need to relocate to another home that is more conducive to our physical and cognitive needs for safety. A move can be very, very challenging and delicate. So I always encourage families to start planning as soon as possible. The decisions that we make in crisis mode are very, very, very different. And the options that we have when things are decently stable, they're always better options too. A lot of the communities, not just in our area, but all over, will often have wait lists. And so it's important to do your homework and to review and tour settings as much ahead of time as possible. Create your short list. And then when the time comes, you have an idea of what is realistic for your budget, for proximity to your family, as well as you've already built that relationship and it doesn't feel as foreign or sterile to have to transition to a community. So if you can do that ahead of time, that is extremely, extremely helpful. And it's also important to take into consideration how realistic it is for your loved one who is diagnosed. How much are they really going to take part of that preparation? Every scenario is very, very different. And so I don't feel comfortable saying, this is how you do it for everyone, because all of our loved ones are so very different. We have different life experiences and they unravel differently. So it's important to seek advice and to give it some serious thought of what do I share or what don't I share with my loved one out of respect and love for them. So oftentimes, keeping things very simple as what you share, that's typically key. All the details, all the appointments, the boxing of items, usually that's done by yourself or by family that can support you. So this is kind of a stage where we want to protect our loved one and not overstimulate or overwhelm them unnecessarily.
Thank you, Jenny. Danny, can you share some tips with us on how to best help our loved one make a move?
Definitely, I want to stand too. Third time's the charm, right? So helping a loved one during the transitional process, the biggest thing is know your loved one, right? What do they like? What do they don't like? What are their triggers? Now, I am a Cal Poly grad, so sometimes you have to learn by doing. So kind of like what Jenny was talking about, planning early, even though your loved one or yourself might not be ready to have that hard conversation, now's the time to rip off the Band-Aid and start it, so that you can kind of get familiarized with what do they like, what do they don't like, and what are those triggers. Because when the time comes, the more knowledge you have about your loved one, the easier it will be to take those steps to the next chapter. Now, kind of piggyback off of what Laura was talking about the natural aging process, right? There's 3 natural aging processes. The one, I get old and forgetful. Then there's that big land of MCI, minor cognitive impairment, where you don't necessarily fear for their safety, but they're having a little bit more forgetfulness, and then you transition into the memory care land, right? Where that's where you start fearing for someone's safety. It's hard to kind of figure out exactly where your loved one is. That's why we rely on doctors and medical staff. But we have a lot of advocates, especially in this local area of San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara County. For instance, something that I always recommend to families, whether they're starting the process of looking, which we want to be proactive about, but most families wait until there's an emergency. And then you're making a rash decision and trying to scramble of where's best going to be for my loved one. Is that at home? Is that going to be in a community, something like mine? Or are you going to be kind of in and out of the hospitals and skilled nursing homes? Everybody wants to potentially die at home, but statistically, the last number that I pulled up was from 2017. Only 31% of us will have that opportunity. And the 31% of us that do have that opportunity, what does that life look like at home, right? You could be at home and be completely isolated. So bringing it back to basics is really knowing what it is that you like for your loved one, what you don't like, and what are those triggers, and starting to be proactive in the process of looking out there of what opportunities do I have? Am I in a financial position to stay at home? I am in a financial position to place my loved one in a retirement setting or senior living? Or am I scrambling because I now have to move out of the area because I can't financially be able to stay here? I've got to go where my money's gonna take me a little bit farther. A lot of times moving into a memory care type setting, it's always told less is more. This is also coming from a hoarder trying to understand how to let stuff go, but less is more. And you do want to understand your loved one in the sense of what is that less is more for them. From my experience of working at Sydney Creek, it really depends on the generation. So some of those that were of the Great Depression, they definitely want their purse or their wallet, their jewelry, right? We're starting to see those baby boomers transition into our type of setting, which is a residential care facility for the elderly. Now we're seeing, where's my cell phone?
Thank you, Danny. I was so engrossed I forgot I was running the show here. Okay, good. Well, let's see. Let's start again with Jenny, and then come on down. What is one thing that you would like to say to families who are thinking about moving their loved one to a memory community?
Okay, Just one thing?
Please.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I put one thing.
Okay.
Give me some tips.
Okay. So there's a lot of thoughts here, a lot of ideas. For about 10 years, I worked at Sydney Creek, where Danny also worked. So I did lots and lots of admissions, and I still support families and facilitate admissions with them in my care manager role. But I'm kind of on a different side now, and it's very intriguing. So looking back on my years of doing both of these functions, I think the most important items are to really keep things simple. It's important to consider the generational aspect that Danny mentioned, because we all have different things that we must keep close to us dependent upon our upbringing and our life experiences. But when we are moving to a memory care, the simplicity is key. And there's kind of two different scenarios that are the most common that we find ourselves in when we are facilitating and supporting a move. Oftentimes, we do have to get creative in the messaging of why the move is happening. A medical reason is often utilized. And so for someone, if we are saying, Sally, you're going to be staying here for a little bit, the doctor needs to keep an eye on you. Your blood pressure, you're going to get stronger here with physical therapy. If we're having that kind of messaging, it's really important to just have the basics brought with us. Items that might be appropriate for a hospital stay. So, maybe just a bag or so. We're not going to bring the beautiful credenza and the sideboard and all of those things for this kind of a move. Now, we, as the individuals that are facilitating this move, may know that this is a permanent move, that this is not temporary. And so we need to continue to keep that in mind, that we're just bringing some light things, enough for a week, maybe important magazines or pictures or books, nice reminders that are not going to make my loved one feel that this is permanent in nature. It's very common in the earlier stages of an admission to see individuals pack up because they're not going to be staying there. And so we want to have that simplicity. However, there are some scenarios, and it depends upon the individual, where we do recreate the home to some degree, or the bedroom, and bring items with us and set it up ahead of time to have the items of comfort with them. It's going to depend upon the scenario. The kind of scenario where we would see the room replicated, sometimes when they are aware to a certain degree that the move is happening, there might be a significant life change, the passing of a spouse. It just depends, but there are some times when it is appropriate to have all the comforts of home there, because they are needing that support of having those pretty things. Nonetheless, important to remember that memory care communities have other residents with dementia. Never bring valuables. Things are borrowed, things are flushed down toilets. It's meant to no harm of anyone, but we have other individuals with dementia, just like your loved one. So those are kind of the two main scenarios that I've seen over the years, but there have been multiple scenarios. And it really is case by case, and the goal is to make it as conducive and comfortable for the diagnosed individual. We are the ones that can adapt. They are not. So there's no right or wrong answer here, but it is important to stay realistic, keep things simple, and as things change, you can always bring more, take out, etc. Even though this might be a permanent placement, their world is going to be ever evolving, and we're going to go through that journey with them. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea. Thank you.
I'll piggyback up that real quick.
In regards to jewelry, Jenny is right. Anytime you go into a memory care community, don't bring any valuables. But if your loved one has always worn a wedding ring, you might not want to bring it, of course, right? Because more than likely, they might just give it to somebody else, even though they've never done it over 69 years of marriage. So sometimes you might have to get that ring reset, wink, wink, and try to find something that looks identical to it that's of lesser value. Or you find some costume jewelry, right? But it really depends on where your loved one is, what's important to them. But when you're dealing with somebody with memory care, you really have to start thinking outside of the box. You gotta get creative. And that's why you have these advocates and resources, because sometimes that's hard for us to start wanting to enter into their reality. They no longer are in our reality, right? Although, who wants to be in our reality trying to keep up with the Joneses? But that's a whole nother conversation. And it is tough to enter into somebody's reality that for you makes no sense. But you really do need to start that process. And again, there's resources like Nancy, Laura, and Jenny to be able to reach out to go, I'm stumped. I don't know what else to do. And don't beat yourself up either, because it's learned by doing. Sometimes something might have worked before, which isn't working anymore. You know, and you're gonna fail, you're gonna succeed, but isn't that life?
I'm gonna pay back too. So in dementia, in that umbrella or any of the disease processes, it's not a linear disease. So you do not, there are stages, and depending on what scale you go, it's either 1 to 7 or 6 to 4 or 6 to 1, different things, just to keep it confusing. But it is not, you don't go from stage 1 and then 2 and then 3 and it's all wrapped up and you go to the, it doesn't, it goes back and forth, right? There are good days, there are not so great days. Some days we can go for a long time with, yeah, we're pretty stable. Or you might know at like 4:15, things get a little wonky, they get a little hairy, and you're like, oh, what am I gonna do? Right, so looking at those kinds of things. And what Danny was saying, meeting them where they are, right, that's a really different concept. It's something that I think we often strive to do, be in the present moment. How many of us meditate? How many of us do yoga? That's part of that, is to be here and be present. It's amazing, as a person with dementia, they really are. There's not a lot of, they're trying to rely on a past, but it can be, the person may be 78 years old right now, but in their mind, they're at 21. And some people didn't exist in their life when they were 21 years old. So I may not look familiar to my dad. Or I might look familiar, but he might call me by my mom's name. And it's like, whoa, no. I'm not your mom. I'm your youngest daughter. I'm the youngest of 5. You've got da-da-da-da-da. That's not gonna help my dad, right? To be like, okay, well, what happened? My world just blew up, right? So keeping it simple, again, going back to what Jenny said. So keeping it simple in how we move, but also keeping it simple in how we communicate. I think
That's great, Laura. Well, hopefully you're all feeling a little bit smarter by now.
Or more confused. Yeah.
Or more confused, yeah. One thing that I'm hearing is that there is no one size fits all.
Right.
And if you're caregiving at home, please make sure that you're making time for breaks, because no one person can handle everything. It's a relentless disease. And the statistics show that caregivers that don't ask for help, statistically their health declines, and oftentimes they're gone within 6 months of their spouse. So it's critical that you get the time that you need to rejuvenate and take care of yourself. So we thought it would be kind of fun and that you might benefit.
We're gonna interrupt Nancy.
I'm sorry, can I speak a little bit to respite at home
Oh,
too?
yes,
Because
yes.
I know, like, we were talking a lot about facility and
Yes.
placement in a facility, but we also understand that that's not always a reality, and being at home for as long as possible is many times a great idea, but then we often have that question of when is the time to not be at home anymore. Again, it's different. There's no cookie cutter space on that. But in being at home, knowing that, and I look at the banner over here, I know we have seniors helping seniors, home matters, caregiving, in different caregiving resources in our community that we can certainly connect you with. It also comes with costs. And we also have other additional resources within the area, things like Coast Caregiver Resource Center. We have caregiver resource centers throughout the state of California. They help to provide some funding for caregivers. Doesn't matter who or what you're caring for. Well, I guess it has to be human, I think. I don't know. Jenny has pugs.
Yeah.
She has pugs. I don't, so maybe I don't get the pug ticket. Anyway, refocus. But the caregiver resource centers do provide some funds at no cost. There's no economic need that you have to show, but they can help to provide some caregiving in home, whether that is an individual who comes in, or if that is helping to support somebody going to an adult day center. So we have 2 adult day centers in the area. One is in Paso Robles. It's run by Capslo. It's a social model, so it's primarily everybody there has dementia. It's staffed. They have lunch throughout the day, so Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 5-ish. Different activities going on, volunteers that come in, that type of thing. And then there's also an adult day center in Santa Maria called the Wisdom Center. It's it has a larger program. It has a combination program, so they have nurses on staff, social workers to help with care management, and physical therapists that comes in too, so you can maintain some of that activity. So just those are places where, a person, your loved one can go and they don't have to go every day. They could go a couple of days a week, a half a day, and give you that break, because that is vital. And also, just to reiterate, that you're not alone in this. We have lots of resources. We know it can be very overwhelming to hear all of these words, to hear all of the organization names, to hear the acronyms, but we're here to help guide you too.
Yes.
I'll piggyback on that with caregivers. Whether you're at home or a different type of setting, caregiver burnout is a real thing. So something to consider is it's okay to, again, ask for help. However, most people taking that first step, it's really hard. So one of my favorite resources is the 36-hour book, or hour, whichever it is, book. And the reason why it's called the 36-hour is because when you're dealing with somebody that has those cognitive inabilities, you no longer are dealing with a 24-hour day, it's a 36-hour day. So you can see that mentally and physically, you will run yourself down. The best analogy I have is you're on a plane. If the plane's going down, you need to put your life mask on before you can help somebody else. It is not, you do not have to beat yourself up if you need a respite, or if you're in a situation where it's killing you, right? It's always hard to ask for help, but there's huge resources. Again, the book doesn't talk back, and the book is very kind of generic. That's why I would reach out to Nancy, Laura, or Jenny for sure, because they can engage in more of a customized situation of what you're dealing with your loved one.
Thank you, Danny and Laura. So a couple of other points I wanted to make before we get into our role playing is remember to get some professional help, legal help,
Yes.
and do it early. Get a power of attorney early, and make sure it's the right power of attorney. You really need to speak to an attorney. If you wait too long, you may have to get a guardianship, which is a lot harder. So please, think ahead and get that power of attorney ahead of time. And
Nancy, may I just say one?
Yes.
I'm so
please.
sorry
No,
about
I
that.
love it. I only know this.
Yes, no. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yes.
This is extremely, extremely important to have your legal documents in order. Well, when you are even at any age, I'm going to say that, at any age, but when we are starting to notice cognitive deficits in our loved ones, it is beyond the time that you should have your documents in order, ultimately. For placement in memory care, there needs to be someone named as the legal responsible party for medical and financial. That needs to be taken care of ahead of time. The facility is going to want to view that paperwork. An individual cannot sign themselves into memory care, because just as they can sign themselves in, they can sign themselves out in 15 minutes or less, because we have short-term memory loss. But no, I mean, it's true, but some people don't really, we don't think of this legal perspective sometimes, because the medical and the medical need, we just think of, my loved one needs this. And so it's very, very important to have that all in order and to know what those documents say, because some documents are effective immediately upon signature, some you need physician letters for. And everyone in those documents, the primary person, secondary, tertiary in line, they should all know if they are named in those documents. There doesn't need to be any surprises of, oh, hey, guess what? You're in charge of Aunt Joe. So this is very, very important to take care of ahead of time. The medical responsible party is the admitting party. Whomever is the financial person, they pay the bills, but it's the medical responsible party that admits and oversees care and makes the decision of where someone stays, what medications they receive, who the doctor is. So-and-so fell. That is the person that is going to have the most responsibility on their plate. Are we taking questions now or later?
At the end.
Okay.
We'll make a comment.
No comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
We will comment later.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just really wanted to make that clear. There's so many intricacies with legal documents too, but it is definitely, just let this be a reminder for everyone in this room to open up that box of legal documents that we haven't looked at in a while. Let's take a look at them and make sure they're up to date. So just do that favor for me. Thank you.
Back up that. We piggyback a lot.
Yeah. Of course, reiterating what Jenny says, in the process of starting early, because dealing with somebody, again, that has cognitive inabilities, sometimes throughout their journey of memory loss, the right person in the family might not get chosen to be the power, because for whatever reason in their reality, that person that has cognitive inabilities feels like backed into a corner and feels like that person might be trying to take advantage of them and give the power to another family member who might want to be taking the power and advantage of them. The first abuse happens at home and it's financial, and then the second can be caregiver burnout, whether that's at home or not at home in like a community. So these are the reasons why you have to have those conversations early with your family. Now, every one of us has family skeletons in the closet, right? We all have our own drama. And sometimes people change throughout the course of their life too. So maybe it's not an advantage to name your oldest son or that one family member, because things do change and or they might not be in the area anymore. So they're making these decisions and they have to come from out of state, right? So this is why you have to have the conversation now, so that you can start planning, not that you're going to make everything happen along the way, but you've had those conversations to kind of deal with all the nuts and bolts of it, so that when you're ready, you can just screw it right in. That's the best analogy I could come up on the spot.
Sorry about that, Kristen. We're going to have a Q&A session when we're all done. I just want to ask all of you to please do your spouses a favor and don't say to them, "Don't ever put me in a home." I cannot tell you how many couches I've sat on with a tearful spouse that said, a tearful spouse whose health was declining, they were falling apart emotionally, they were exhausted, and they would not entertain the idea of having their loved one move to memory care because they had promised their spouse years earlier. And same thing with your kids. A lot of times we used to think it was kind of funny, we'd tell the kids, "Don't ever put me in a home." But these kids take that pretty darn seriously. And I've had kids too just absolutely falling apart because they're trying to honor their parents' wishes. So, and we haven't really touched on how wonderful some of these memory care communities are. Yes, it's true that most people want to leave 15 minutes after they get there, and so the first week or two might be a little rough. But after that, oh my gosh, they just flourish, absolutely flourish. They've got activities and it just works because the staff is trained on how to speak with them, they flirt with them, they have fun with them all day long. And my dad was in memory care, and I was pretty impressed with the scenario. So if you do have a block on that, please keep your minds open.
So we thought we'd check in on that a little bit.
That's
So
right.
thinking about that, because how many times, right, and same thing, my mom was like, "Don't ever put me in a nursing home," decades ago, right? She's now 92. Actually was in the ER this morning, so that's a whole nother thing going on. But thinking about so many times you're like, they'll call me, and I understand that calling the Alzheimer's Association is a big deal. Walking into my office door, it's a big deal. Until you get to meet me, and then we're like, "Hey." But it is, people are like, "My mom is never gonna wanna go to an adult day center. My dad will never stay in a facility. That is just not, he's a very, either he needs his own social space, or he is not a social person, or whatever it might be." So we talk about, and both Jenny and Danny were alluding to this with the idea of fiblets. So this is perhaps a made-up word, I guess, but fiblets. So a lot of times we're not supposed to lie to our parents. We're not supposed to lie to our spouses, right? And so it's not lying. It is, how do we help to keep them in a content space, right? Going into, Jenny was talking about it earlier, just didn't name it. But going into a memory care facility, you know what? The doctor has these tests and he just needs to keep an eye on you. So that could be a temporary 2-week thing. Well, within dementia, time and space, really the abstract concepts, they fly away. So 2 weeks is like, well, haven't I been here? It's been 2 hours, right? And you may get that continual question. But then you get everybody in that care group on the same page. If they are at a facility, if you have a caregiver coming into the home, let them know what the story is, right? Like what fiblets you may be saying. Yeah, you know what? My brother, he went on a cruise, so he's not able to stop by this week, so just gonna get some extra help to come in. Well, maybe my brother comes back from that cruise, but it gives him a break, right, in caregiving, but it can then have the ability for that caregiver to come in more regularly in the home. Fiblets.
I love that word. Okay.
I'd like to speak on the behalf of memory care communities. Yes, I represent one, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best one for your loved one. There's over 100 RCFEs, residential care communities for the elderly. We like to call them communities in San Luis Obispo alone. Most of those are houses that's been converted into a community. We like to call them boarding cares. They're a smaller setting. They usually have 4 to 6 people. Then there's a good handful of us that are larger communities, right? And it's all about socialization and stimulation, baby. Let's have a party. And a lot of other things too. Spring into action, ADLs, activities of daily living. And then you have your medium-sized ones, right? That can range between 14 to maybe 25 residents. It can be a lot overwhelming of where do I do, what do I go? And that again is back to the resources, because it's not your job to go in and out of every one of those communities, but find somebody that can gather the information about where you are and then figure out, okay, these are a handful of communities that would be best for your loved one based on the information and where your loved one is at. Because not every memory care community is equal, not to say they're bad, but they all kind of have their missions, right? So you really want to take that into consideration of, would that place be best for my loved one? And again, you're not in this alone. You have help.
Thank you, Danny. Okay. Is everybody done? So we thought for the moment, we thought it would be fun to do some role playing. So Jenny is going to spearhead it, and I'm just going to let her run with it.
Oh, you're gonna regret that. All right. May I?
Do whatever you
Okay.
want.
All right. So this is gonna be fun. We're gonna go over 3 scenarios of when we're caring for someone with dementia. We're gonna go over 3 scenarios: a right way and probably not a right way. And we'll see how you feel about each one. So the first scenario that we're going to go over, and we're going to utilize Laura and Danny here. Laura, you guys just want to stand up. It's going to be easier. We're going to let's try to have a conversation with Mom about moving her to a memory care community. No, Danny's gonna be Mom.
I'm a young mom.
Yeah. And Laura, you're gonna be her daughter.
Oh, awesome.
And you're gonna just, why don't you share with her a way that might not be the recommended way to communicate this kind of message to her.
Excellent.
All right, so, hey Mom, how's it going?
Good, honey. How are you?
All right, see you got a little bit of sparkle on, but it looks like it might be on backwards today. What happened there?
It's on the right way.
I don't know, what are you drinking? You're not supposed to drink coffee anymore, Mom. It's not good for you, the caffeine. You shouldn't be having that. What's going on?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Jimmy Buffett.
Coffee is not that doesn't work with that song. What are you talking about? Like 5 o'clock, you should be having a margarita. Oh wait, I shouldn't be telling you that either. You're not allowed to have alcohol. The doctor said these things. Actually, so do you remember when we went to the doctor's appointment on Monday? And it was at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I brought you there, and we had this whole test, and he's talking about we need to really look at what your care is happening here at home, because you're not able to do this and you're not able to have that coffee anymore, and alcohol as well. Do you remember that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so, well, I have looked at some facilities so that we're gonna move you there, and there's an opening. They have to clean out the room, and then we need to get a few of your things together, and we won't be bringing any of the coffee with us because you can't, but it's gonna hurt your heart and all of these things. So What kinds of things out of your bedroom do you want to take with you? You're gonna move in next Tuesday.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna die in this home.
You might die because I might. Oh wait, that's my mind. It's talking. Sorry.
Okay, so who can name a couple things that we could adapt in how that scenario went? Anyone? Give me one.
Blame.
Yes, very good, very good. Now, I know this may have been a little over the top here. However,
Not that much.
I was gonna say, I've seen it like that before. And you know, we naturally want to rationalize. That is what we naturally want to do. But this is not the time to do that. So let's see how we could make that look a little more comfortable for everyone involved. Let's flip it too.
So before I get started, one of the biggest tools that I've learned from the Alzheimer's Association is the 4 handy helpers. Do not argue. Use finesse. Don't be afraid to fudge the truth. Make up a story to help them relax and redirect. Now, I don't really know much about where mom's gonna come from, so I learn by doing, right? Trial and error. Maybe something will work, maybe something won't work. Maybe I'll have to stop and do a change of face and have somebody else come in. But I will take that challenge. Oh, Mom, remember how I was telling you about that community that's right down the street where they have a lot of live music? Remember when you were a musician?
Oh yeah, I played with Billie Holiday, didn't I?
Yeah, but I thought it was Doris Day. Sarah, Sarah. Whatever
Will be, will be. The future is ours to.
She didn't get my music chance. It's okay.
You're so sweet. You're so cute. Oh yeah.
Well, Mom, they're having a happy hour and they're going to be playing live music with Billie Holiday.
Is there gonna? Billie Holiday is dead.
Well, that's why we got to bring them back to life. And we got
Is there gonna be
to.
wine?
You got it, baby.
When do we go?
I would say let's go right now.
Wait, it's not happy hour time though.
It's always happy hour in our lives, and I'm driving, so you don't have to worry about driving, Mom.
What, do I know anybody else there? Just you and me?
Well, you and me, but I thought we had a couple of friends over there. I thought her name was Sally or Jenny.
Oh, Jenny is there?
Yeah, the one with the red hair. She has short. I can't remember if she had green eyes or brown eyes, but that's okay. She'll sing with us too if we want to put on a performance.
Do I need to bring my keyboard?
I would say for now, let's leave it at home.
Okay, so we could go and come back because I've got to feed the cat later.
We can definitely feed the cat. Well, now if you want to. We don't have a dog in the house, so the dog's not going to eat the food, so we can feed the cat now or after. We'll make sure that Smokey is well taken care of.
Smokey died, didn't he?
Yes, Smokey died.
Yeah, Mom. Unfortunately, animals, they come and go. But that's okay. We have the little box over here in honor of Smokey too. But we can still feed the neighbor's cat.
Oh, okay, all right. So, are we getting some wine?
You got it, baby. Whatever will be, will be. The future is ours to see.
Very good, very good.
Rest in peace,
More than I hoped for.
That was great. We get into this stuff, so thank you for your patience.
I just want to say one of the most brilliant things that happened. So whenever I was the daughter, I was standing here like this, and I did not. Immediately, whenever Danny was standing, she was explaining to you all right, she immediately came in and sat down.
Yeah.
We're at the same level now. If somebody, I don't know if you could see before, but when I was standing up earlier, Danny just kind of got this like shrink back thing. Right, so when you're talking with somebody with dementia, these are those communication strategies, we've got a ton of them. But it's that if you're talking at someone, they're going to either retreat or lash out.
Yeah.
So then when somebody is like, you come up from behind someone, and I'm a caregiver or whatnot, or, loved one in the house, and you're like, hey, right? That jump. And then also that arm, hey, can come and swing, right? And so then all of a sudden that person with dementia is labeled as a problem. Well, we have to adapt. So I don't approach a person with dementia from the back. And let alone this one. I love this one. I have done it in the past. I know. Hey, Danny, how you doing? When you look at somebody like this, it is weird, right? So just really to consider that. So when we approach somebody, you want to approach from the front, but also give them a little bit of a space to exit as they need, right? So those are just
Such a good point.
physical spots.
I'll piggyback on that.
Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm high energy, right? But working in memory care specific for the last 5.5 years, it's an energy field, right? So yes, 9 out of 10 times, I can get a resident who might have had a hard time with others to do certain things just because of the finesse and the energy that I bring to the conversation, right? You saw that I started singing, having fun. It works for most people, but not everybody, right? And sometimes it's a challenge for me when people are just stone cold, and that's how they respond well, is stone cold. Not a bad thing. It's one where I have to look deep in my heart and kind of mirror what they're projecting to. But sometimes it doesn't work, right? You saw that I got stumped, even though I have the experience with Smokey, and then in my mind, I'm trying to figure out where do I go from here. But sometimes you get completely stumped, or when Laura was talking about they lash out, you can tell when somebody is just not having it. And the more that you try and push, the more that they feel like they're backed into a corner and they're only gonna lash out. So time is on your side. And or change of face. Sometimes it might have not worked for you, but I could bring a caregiver in, and that caregiver could be able to have that person do what they want. And don't take it too personal that I can no longer communicate with my mom and get her to do whatever I need her to do because I need her to do it right now because I've got things to do at home, places to go, right? Again, you're meeting them where they are, and smile and have fun. And that can be hard for some people, but just call me.
Hugs are also really good. Just a little or a hand on a shoulder. It can make a big difference in a tough situation. I think if we did that world over, but that's another subject.
You guys are awesome. We're gonna do another. Do we have time for one more? Okay. So, 2 more still. Okay. Well, I'm gonna jump in then.
Good.
Oh, who wants to get me in the shower? All right. So this is the ever challenging. I need to get mom to bathe. Maybe we have found ourselves in this predicament. Personal care is so touchy and challenging, and we most likely our entire lives have taken pride in taking care of ourselves independently. And now we are facing a role reversal, quite possibly with our adult child, trying to get us into the shower. So I would like to be, I'll be mom, and one of you can work your magic.
So fascinating to use those words. Okay.
Is this going to be the good way or the not so good way?
Oh, we'll
Let's
start.
just do the good way. I
Okay,
guess.
we'll do that.
And because then we'll have time for 2.
All right. Oh, Lordy. Okay. We didn't rehearse these. If you didn't know, this is improv theater as well today. All right. Oh, hi, Mom. How's it going? Hi, Mom. When you start to get a really high voice, that's usually when it's nervousness. Hey, Mom. Oh, who are you writing to?
I'm writing to your great-grandmother.
Ah. Grandmother's no longer around, just in case you don't know. She's not here. What are you sharing?
I'm sharing with her that I am pregnant with twins.
Okay, laughter is not what you should be doing at this point in time. We're gonna say, oh, wow. You mean, okay. Well, that's awesome.
What can I do for you?
Well, I was thinking it's Wednesday morning and, you know, oh my gosh. Sorry, this is an aside. I'm blanking a little bit because like, that really threw me off. The whole writing to great grandma with the twins part. This is just reality in my world. Well, I was wondering, you know, once you finish that, maybe a couple of minutes, can we help you to wash up a little bit? Would you like to take a little spa day? What do you think about that? Wow, her eyes right now.
Are you saying I smell?
No, but you know, we want to stay clean. It's good hygiene.
Do I smell?
You know, we could add a little bit of soap and lotion, just a nice morning, possibly.
I'll help you. It's good stuff. Can we go out to lunch later?
Definitely. Oh, can we? So that would be a great thing. Let's get fancied up. Take a little bit of wash up. I'll do your hair. I mean, it's looking great, but you know, it's the morning, so a little bedhead is happening. But yeah, where would you like to go to lunch?
Anywhere where I can have wine.
It is 5 o'clock somewhere, as I heard. So, all right. Well, how about, gosh, maybe we could go for a view somewhere like Ventana Grill.
Can we invite great grandmother?
We sure can. Yeah, we'll see what she's up to. No guarantees, right?
Okay, if you promise.
Remind me, where is great grandmother living? What town is she in?
Oshkosh?
Oshkosh, Wisconsin, right? Oh, right, she is there. Well, you know, we might not see her today, but finish your letter. I'm gonna go get the bath area ready. What's your favorite scent? Is it lavender or vanilla?
I've always liked lavender.
You know that.
Yeah, okay. So I'll get some lavender, get some soaps going on, and heat it all up. How about warm towels? Would you like a warm towel? 4 warm towels? Okay, or warm towels for you?
Both.
Okay, sure. Let me go stick those in the dryer, and we'll have 4 warm towels for you with some lavender. Just get a little washed up. I'll do your hair. How your nails looking? Oh, looking pretty good. We might need to go to the manicurist though. No nail salon? Okay, no worries. And then we'll go out to lunch. All right, you finish that. I'll be back.
Door
That's
open.
great.
Door open. Door closed. I'm the caregiver. Oh, hey, Jenny. We're really ad-libbing. Woo.
So I'm gonna say that Laura, she doubled down, and no, she's not gonna take the shower. So this is just an example to piggyback on that of a change of face, right? Assuming that Jenny's still living in the reality that she's pregnant with twins, and I do know that information from being her grandma.
No, I am.
You're pregnant with twins, yeah. So let's just kind of scratch what happened. Good job, Laura. But now Jenny's doubling down and just having a hard time of getting her in the shower. I'm walking in as a caregiver, coming back from break. Hi, Jenny. Still pregnant with those kids? How are you feeling?
Stay away from my babies.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Not so good?
No.
Oh. Well, Laura was telling me that we need to make sure that we get a little wash just to make sure that the babies are doing okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yes. Get
Well,
away.
I've never been a mother before, but we want to make sure that we're definitely well cleaned and prepared, because I heard you got an ultrasound coming so that we can see the babies and find out if it's a boy and a girl.
How did you know about that?
You told me earlier.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I must have had that information wrong. I'm sorry.
You must have.
Yeah. But is it a boy? Are they fraternal or not fraternal?
They're just fabulous. Thank you.
Oh, do you have a name for them?
Yes.
Oh, what's their name?
1 and 2.
Oh, I like that. There is a book that I read when I was younger that was about thing 1 and thing 2, but I like it even better with just 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a nice bath prepared for us. It's so warm. Oh man, it's so warm over here. And I got the 4 towels lined up for you. Am I forgetting anything else, Jenny?
What do you want?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we don't not use all this water in the bathtub. Oh, it's so nice and warm, and oh man, you smell that? It's lavender, your favorite scent? Oh man, come join me. It's nice and, oh here, let me put my foot in. Oh yeah, it's nice and warm. Let's start with a foot. Oh, there's a chair if you want to take a seat back, just to put less pressure on your knees. Oh. Let's move over here for the chair. So as you can see with that scenario, sometimes that's the cueing and luring that you're trying to do and trying to paint a picture, right? Even though it's not necessarily so warm right now, but I would suggest even at 39 years old, whenever I jump into the shower in the morning or jump out of the shower, it's still really cold at home, right? So when you're preparing somebody, especially for custodial care, specifically showers, you do want to have that environment pre-planned and set up just so that it's a little bit easier potentially to get them in. But sometimes they refuse. Sometimes they go in with clothes on. That doesn't mean that you failed. Sometimes they might just will put 1 foot in and then they're out, right? But it's the little steps that you take along the way that are going to be beneficial.
So true, so true. This is, I think all of us working in the dementia field, we just always really wanted to be actors. I think that's what it is. But just to kind of piggyback, it's all about having, you've probably heard the tools, and having the right tools in your toolbox. So what Danny presented there, and what Laura did a great job too, those were fun. But when she's talking about towels, when we're talking about scent, when we're talking about temperature, these are all tools in your toolbox. So having things prepared, even though you might not need them. Just having all of the all-in-one shampoo and body wash, it's gonna do the job. So having all those things at your disposal in the room before you bring your loved one in, that is super key, because you're gonna get off your game if you have mom in the shower and then you're like, oh my God, I don't have a washcloth or a sponge or something of that nature. So preparation is super key.
And the senses, the sensory items that you mentioned, the warmth, the touch, the smell.
For sure. So what happens in dementia too is that verbal communication is breaking down over the time. And we're not necessarily in those early stages of dementia, what we've been talking about, where they're needing more of that support and reminders. But as dementia continues through those stages, all of our senses, all of the hearing, the touch, the smell, taste changes, and they all do change over time too. But those can be such vital ways to maintain that connection with the person with dementia. And music, it's my background, but absolutely and utterly. There have been just a couple of people in the hundreds or thousands that I've talked with, but who are not really, music doesn't really make a big motivational difference with them. But even if you're trying to get somebody, trying to get mom into the shower, It can be that like, splish splash, I was making a bang. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Clap your hands. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
It might help.
Right? And then we like meander down the hallway to the bathroom. Whatever that might be.
That was
Music
perfect.
is so important.
That was perfect.
I'll piggyback off of that. The older we get, the more we resort to our childlike ways. I mean, I understand that I'm only 39, I'm not an adult, but I'm not a child anymore. And even though we say we resort back to our childlike ways, our elderly still have the dignity that, yes, they're no longer children, but we do resort back to our childlike ways. Whether you have cognitive inabilities or you have no cognitive inabilities, the first activity of daily living that nobody wants to do is hygiene. It's the first one. And everything has a cause and effect to it, right? So bad hygiene, yeah, can be smelly and kind of gross at times, but it can also lead to urinary tract infections, also known as UTIs, very commonly in the elderly, men or women. So with my grandmother, my mom's mom, she was a spit bath girl, right? It also was one where she didn't have a bathtub at her house. So she didn't want to shower because she was too afraid to fall. Yes, we put in a shower chair, but she was so used to, for the last 10 years of her life, just taking a washcloth and washing those certain areas, and that's what she called a spit bath, right? And sometimes you can get away with that, but sometimes you can't. So those are things that to take into consideration is, again, that's the first activity of daily living for everybody to not want to do, and it's gonna be a struggle. But again, think outside of the box, learn by doing, and try to have fun with it, even if it's hard for you to sing, take in a bath, wish, wash, you know, just try.
Okay, we're gonna open it up for questions, and I'll repeat the question, and we've got about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Who has a question? Yes.
Teeth brushing. Ah.
What do you recommend to have get someone to brush their teeth?
You may start, Laura.
Oh, okay, great, awesome. Yeah. So, do you have to take a shower every single day?
Nope.
Do you have to brush your teeth
Yes.
evening and night?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Once. You should try.
Yeah, once, right, really good. I am definitely one who personally, morning and night, sometimes in between, but and oral health is super important too, just as in hygiene and urinary tract infections, our teeth, the mouth has a lot to do with our overall health too. You know, you could do the scope mouth rinse instead. Now what happens if they swallow that? You're always supposed to spit it out. Is it gonna kill us if we?
No.
Okay, I'm not the scientist, I really don't know, I don't think that if even, I mean, you're not gonna have them drink an entire bottle of scope, but you could use that. There are these little, I think of them as pink sponges on a stick that can go around and get a lot of that junk out of there. Even just if you're doing a like, hey, cheers, let's take a little swig of this and swirl it around in our mouth and then, you know, be dramatic. I think our improv is showing drama, is it all right? But those are kind of some things too. Also modeling the behavior.
That's what I would, yeah.
I'm a big fan of modeling or mirroring a behavior. It works really for most people. And what that is if I'm trying to have my loved one brush their teeth, I'm gonna do the same task with them. I may have just brushed my own teeth 2 seconds ago, but for us to do and demonstrate at the same time, that is giving them a visual cue. So it's not just telling someone to do something, it is showing them how, and that you are on their team. It's showing mutual respect, I feel, at the same time. You can also, there's like a hand over hand where you can literally do for them while them still using their own hand. It depends on the stage, but I always like to attempt mirroring first.
And setting up those cues too. So sometimes, depending on where they are in the space, where it's like, oh, they're just not brushing their teeth. Well, maybe it's not knowing, and we were having this conversation last week, is not knowing what tube to use.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Again, keeping things simple. So if you're wanting the activity, the focus to be brushing teeth, have only a toothbrush and only the tube of toothpaste. Don't have the preparation H on the counter as well.
It's
She's
not
been-
gonna kill you, we found out.
Or a lotion or any of those, like really try to keep that simple as possible. So having that, so sometimes just the cue is, here's your toothbrush. Okay. And here's the toothpaste. Oh, I'll open it up. I'll open up the cap for you. And then maybe be able to give. But then if they're like, okay, still not coming back with, yeah, you're right, you're gonna brush. We'll get to your hair. Let's do your teeth first. Here's some toothpaste. And then just, yeah, open your mouth. There you go. And then move it, remember, move it side by side. So this is that modeling part, right? And kind of getting right in. There you go. All right. Ah ha ha. I'll open up. Ah. Can you open up? Open up your mouth. There you go. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Good job. Okay, so then if it's that kind of stuff, yeah, spit that stuff out. You got it. Right. So those kinds of types of things. I want to also put in a plug for Tipa Snow.
Oh my gosh, rock star.
She's an occupational therapist. You can find her on YouTube, on TikTok. Tipa, T as in Tom, E-E, P as in Paul, A. So Tipa Snow, like the stuff that we don't get here, but is in the Midwest. TipaSnow.com. And she does an amazing amount of instructional videos, YouTube. Some of them are long. Go on to TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, it's fine. But she does do these little videos, a lot of instruction about really meeting the person where they are and approaches and things like that.
Great,
I'm gonna interrupt real quick. So my experience of dealing with just basic oral hygiene is that everybody wants everything to be so clean all the time, right? And sometimes dealing with somebody to be able to get them to start and finish brush their teeth or a different activity of daily living can make a mess, and it's okay. I had a gentleman that it was super hard to get a toothbrush in his mouth, so any success of being with a finger with toothbrush and us going into his mouth where he'd lock his teeth and we just try to get the best, he would definitely do the mouthwash because we told him it was vodka, but then when he was swishing it around, we're like, wait, it wasn't made from potatoes, spit it out. And he would spit it on the mirror, right? And yeah, it was like, oh man, we got a big mess that we gotta clean up, but it was a success for us. Sometimes in the end, it goes back to the cause and effect. It might not be as much if you want to see with them they're brushing their teeth, and then you have oral disease that comes on. But if it's so much based on where they are in their memory care land, it might be too stressful for them to be able to brush their teeth or do any more dental care, right? So that's where you see a lot of people that start having the rotten teeth or teeth issues because it might be too stressful or anxiety for them to be able to do that anymore. Again, every case is different, and we always want to try. We never want to give up. But you'll start to see where the person is if you can push a little bit more or if you have to kind of let it go.
Also think about the taste of the toothpaste. If you're using toothpaste, I hate the taste of wintergreen and spearmint. I do not buy that kind of toothpaste, but peppermint, totally fine with me. Right, so really thinking about putting ourselves in the place for the person with dementia, like whatever. It might be the lighting, it might be like looking at this big old mirror where it's like, who's that old person trying to brush their teeth? Like, that's not me, why are you telling me that? So those kinds of concepts.
Nancy, well, our flashlight's on.
Oh, thank you.
I'll be really, really quick, I promise. Think about it, electric toothbrushes, even though our dentists may recommend them, they can be very scary for individuals with dementia. Just saying, okay? So, even in early stages, that is not what we were used to when we were younger. It is a odd sensation. So, keep it in mind, that's all.
Okay.
I had a bad experience.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I went through dementia with my mother. Who do you go to first when you see it coming?
What would you, well, you could call me,
Okay.
okay? But I would probably refer you to one of these
Yeah.
three gals.
Coming.
And which one of you? do
Yeah,
you
I
should-
think that, well, first of all, I think if you're, just reach out to someone.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, I don't care if it's you just talking to a friend. I think I want to give the appropriate weight to what that just means to ask for help or support. So first of all, that's just step one, and it's amazing. Just as how Laura said, it's a big deal to walk through her door. It is. To walk through the door of the Alzheimer's Association or to call, that you need major kudos just for that. And so I believe that Laura is a great place, out of us up here. Laura is going to be the one-stop shop, and she's going to know, who the people are that are going to best be able to fit your needs and your situation. But any of us.
I think the important thing is to start the conversation. Most of the time when someone comes to me and says that their spouse or their parent has dementia, I usually refer them to Jenny as the first stop. And I think it just all depends on how the initial conversation started. But
Yeah, I would
that's
say
what I do.
also too, so I, as I was coming in here today, I had a phone call from a gentleman whose wife had dementia 7-8 years ago. And he had a friend who is, his wife now is going through that. And so he, because of that friendship, they were able to speak to each other. Well, the guy knew, like, I didn't work with this, I've only been with the association for 4 years, and so it was before my time, but he knew to call. And he's like, who do I get him in touch with? Yeah, absolutely, certainly check in with me. And we refer out to all of the different spaces. We also, the Alzheimer's Association has a 24/7 helpline. I've got postcards in the back there for those, and you will speak with a person, and it can be like, hey, mom just got this diagnosis, what do I do? Do I talk to a neurologist? When did she get the diagnosis, or these things are happening? All of that stuff, and being able to, I will refer and give you, I try not to overwhelm, but I do give a lot of resources for people to reach out to. And we do have care managers, like Jenny, but also Dignity Health does a temporary, like a 3-month short-term care management, case management as well. I mentioned Coast Caregiver Resource Center, so we do have some of those resources in the community, but yeah, usually you'll get referrals from each other.
So Jenny, Laura, and Danny are on our resource team as education partners. So we always refer out to whoever seems to be the appropriate person. We have, Seacoast Seniors has about 80 senior professionals on our resource team, from attorneys to hospice to memory care, in-home care, senior communities. So if you lose these gals' phone numbers or their names, just, you can always call us and we'll connect you with the appropriate person.
Can I piggyback off of that?
Yeah.
So most of the time it's the physician, right? You're starting to see some problems at home that you want to reach out to a physician to figure out what's going on. I can't say the word right now. Neurologist, right? To see what's going on with your loved one. And then they kind of are like, yeah, they have a diagnosis, and then you feel stumped, right? But it's somebody like Nancy who's probably already coming in and out of your house, built on relationships because she's a senior advocate, right? So she deals with many different industries and many different people. I would always, of course, start with Nancy or Laura with Alzheimer's Association. Why? Because you go and you speak the language. They give you those little golden nuggets that can help you with the trial and error. And it's one where, again, nothing's perfect, but you gotta find your people too, right? And that's what the Alzheimer's Hub is there's other people that are going through your situation. Now, when you've met with one person with diagnosis, you've met one person with that diagnosis, right? And then Jenny is a geriatric care specialist. So her job is different than like a placement agency. I want to make sure that there's a difference between that, because she can help you come into the home just like Nancy and Laura too, to figure out, are we gonna stay at home? Are we not gonna stay at home? How do we collect those resources? And then how else can we outsource? I'd be lying to you if I told you that I would be the first step of looking into a residential care facility, but you should start that process early with your loved ones so that you can kind of gauge, where do they see themselves? My dad is going to be turning 73 this year, and he's still having a hard time of like, do I really want to see these places? And I'm like, well, Dad, one, you're too hip now, right? He's gotten and he's playing pickleball and falling on his head. Now, I want him to enjoy his life, but what if that one fall leads him into a situation that then I want to be prepared for versus making an emergency decision? And most people, unfortunately, wait until that emergency decision needs to have happened yesterday, and again, you're scrambling. So everybody up here is a huge resource, and just kind of to knock it out is making the first step is just asking for help. Maybe you don't come out with help me, but you just start to learn to gather that information and knowledge.
Thank you, Danny. Any other questions?
Just a quick comment. Geriatric care managers, even if somebody doesn't even have dementia, are so valuable. My own mother fell. She just turned 90. She fell last summer and broke her back. She lived alone in her home. She couldn't reach her phone. She didn't have a lifeline. God knows how long she laid there, but it just started this whole crisis thing down in LA. And then when I finally found out about it, I was able to refer them to a care management because they automatically just want to stick her in a nursing home. When she's of sound mind at the hospital sent her home, she's probably going to be okay. She just needs help in the home. So it just, it stops trying to reinvent the wheel. Exactly.
Exactly.
I think I called
Thank
Jenny
you.
Alex, but it was just huge relief for them that they had somebody who could help them.
Thank you, yes. When we get involved and we get our education partners involved with these families, we can visibly see the stress melting from their shoulders. And it is, they are always happier when we finish and complete the move or whatever it is we're doing. And everyone raves about these three. These three, they make it fun and keep it light, and they're just amazing people. Can we just give it all we can? They don't get paid for this. This is they generously give their time to come here and share this information with you. We all have the same passion. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors, who without them, we would not be able to continue to do these seminars on a regular basis and have them completely free. If you have any comments or questions, can you talk to please talk to the panelists afterwards? Thank you. I always promise to get everybody out of here by 11:30, and I'm really trying to stick to my word. So keep in mind, we want to thank all of you for coming, and also remind you that our day job is as realtors. And so if you are considering selling a home, we would very much appreciate if you would consider allowing us to represent you. Now, you do have those evaluation sheets on your table, and if you would fill that out, we'd very much appreciate it. It really helps us improve our seminars all the time. And when you turn your filled-in evaluation sheet to Michelle at the table there, she'll punch your learning card. Okay, am I forgetting anything? Yes, I am.
How about this red ticket?
The raffle.
Yeah.
Yes, that was it. That was
Lori
it.
Jill wants to know about the raffle.
You know what? I can always depend on someone to remind me about the raffle.
She's looking to win today.
I have my ticket out.
So we have 2 gifts today, and they're both from Shannon at Slow Happy Homes. That's the name of our real estate team, Slow Happy Homes at Keller Williams. Okay, here we go.
Happy hour time.
Gotta fuck somewhere.
Okay. All right, the lucky winner is 1750832.
I love winners. I love people that win.
A winner. It's gonna be you.
Okay,
It's gonna be you.
next
Come on.
winner
It doesn't have to be
for
though.
a
I just-
beautiful bottle of wine is 1750833.
Lori Jill, we're just gonna hold
Alright.
raffles from now on. We're gonna do this.
I love it.
So our next seminar is March 6th. It's going to be about driving after 80. And yeah, that's going to be a good one. And please know that because we do not charge for these seminars, we rely very heavily on you spreading the word. And so if you know anybody that you think would benefit from attending the seminars, please let them know about us. So go out and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you guys.